What is up, Mr. Johnny FD back in the building?
What's up? What's up, Riley? Good to talk to you again, man. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. A lot has happened. Holy shit, there was a global pandemic happened. Like, what the fuck just happened?
You know what? I've been sitting out the whole thing, man. I've been in Sri Lanka for the last 4 months, just chilling. So
yeah,
none of this has affected me. It's crazy.
I know. It's an interesting time. I've just been chilling here in Bangkok. I decided to stick it out here. So here's my view here, just Bangkok City, kind of a Central Park right there, if you will. But yeah, just been here, chilling in my condo, and you've been in Sri Lanka, so we'll get into that in a second. You've also been doing your whole new free dropshipping course, lots of videos on your YouTube channel. Yeah. So you've been very active on YouTube. I've obviously a subscriber, so I've been seeing all your videos. So we'll get into that. So, gosh, where to start? So Sri Lanka, is this your first time doing time there?
No, it's my second year in a row. So, I've been traveling now for like 12 years, right? 2008, left the US, left my corporate job, and I hit 50 countries, and I was like, okay, that's enough, like what the next milestone would be, like, just check off, like, yeah, I've been to 100 countries. And I was thinking, like, what's the point, right? Because I wanted to go to the 50 best countries that I actually want to go to. I think anything after that, you kind of just go into places that you never heard of just to go, or just to say you've been there. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to go back to all the places I really like. So instead of trying to check off a new country every year, or like, 3 new countries a year, I just been saying, you know what, what's a place I went to that I want to just get to know a little bit deeper, a little bit better. That's why I go back to Thailand every year. Last year I went to Sri Lanka just for a month, and then I said, you know what, maybe I'll come and spend a good 2 or 3 months and get to know it a little bit deeper, a little bit better, improve my surfing, and yeah, here I am.
Nice. Okay, yeah, so overall, in general, like, how would you describe Sri Lanka to, like, another digital nomad who, like, knows nothing about it?
It's basically exactly like Bali was 15 or 20 years ago. I mean, it's a very similar island. Jungles, beaches, surfing, but the difference is way less tourists, and because of that, it's way more authentic. It's less traveled, so it's not as well known, and places aren't built up to be super beautiful. Like, places are just built for Sri Lankans or for the occasional tourists, but there's not like a Instagram booth in every restaurant you walk into, or like an Instagram swing at every single location. It's just like, there are such beautiful places, but they're completely off the map and hidden. So like yesterday, and the reason I'm so tan all the time, I'm a half a block from the beach, and we walked, we went to this one surf point, and we walked, for like 25, 30 minutes on the beach, and we kind of crossed some rocks. We see a lagoon on the right. There's wild elephants there that you can see sometimes, and then we stumble upon this beach that was completely empty. Like, for probably a mile, there was not a single person, not a single piece of trash. And I'm just like, man, this is probably what Bali looked like 20 years ago, or 30 years ago, before Eat, Pray, Love, before all this, all the tourists hit it up. So that's why I like it. It's not as done up yet. You can still get a smoothie bowl, but instead of having 100 places that have smoothie bowls, you have 1 or 2. So you still have what you need, but it's just not as touristy yet.
Yeah, that's so funny. So that's awesome. I know exactly what you mean now. Yeah, you go to Canggu, and it's like, if you guys haven't been, literally every place you can get a smoothie bowl. There's literally 100 places. A smoothie bowl, organic salad. So, okay, dope. Totally know what you mean. So, cost of living, I was just looking at your income and expense report. In May, it was like $800, and then last month, or no, maybe May, it was $500, and then April was like $850.
Yeah, I'm spending
Holy
nothing
shit.
out here, man. It's cheap. I mean, honestly, part of that is because of the COVID lockdown, where they just discounted all the rooms because of the tourists. But even then, like even normally, it's pretty cheap. Like you won't spend more than like $1,000 or $1,200 here.
Nice, nice. What's been your overall takeaway for the Wi-Fi?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's improved so much just in the last year. But even last year, what I figured out was the data is so cheap. It's 50 cents a gig. So if you buy, let's say you go crazy, right? And you're like, you know what? I want to just upload 4K videos and not think about it. If you put $50 on a SIM card, like you will never run out of it, all right? But I don't even do that. I probably spend $20 a month on my SIM card, and I just tether all the time. I'm on Wi-Fi now, but because the place I'm staying has really good Wi-Fi, but it's hit or miss, right? Like it's not super developed yet, but their 4G is strong. So, it's my advice to everyone is put $20 on a SIM card and don't think about it.
Yep. Yeah, and I would say that's in general what I've noticed anywhere around the world. Once they set up the 4G infrastructure and it's there, like 4G is 4G. It's fucking fast. Like I was in Kenya and they just had 4G going in some places, and it's like, yeah, you're out there like in the middle of Kenya, 4G, blazing upload and download. So
well, a lot of countries in third world, like developing countries, Sri Lanka, most of Africa, what they did was they completely skipped the landline. They skipped, because people think Wi-Fi is, wireless, right? It is, but you still have a cable going to your house, and then it's wireless for like those 20 feet, within your house. But 4G, they're like, well, why run wires to your house in the first place? Why not just put up a cell phone tower with 4G? So it's basically the new shit, right? Where they just skipped it. They're like, you know what? Why would we go back in time when we can just, put on that new stuff?
Yep. So if you guys haven't caught up, Johnny's been posting a lot on YouTube. Here's a screen of his channel. You can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So,
it's crazy. I put up 20 videos this month because I was basically just had nothing to do. So
yeah.
I created an entire dropshipping series, but also just made a bunch of travel videos. It's been fun.
Yeah. I saw you had this one video went viral with the 20K views. What do you know why that went viral? What?
You know what's funny? I had no idea that I had 20K views.
Yeah, it was only 5 days ago. You probably haven't checked.
Yeah. And the funny thing about that is that's a video I kind of just made on the van ride from the south of Sri Lanka to the east coast. And I mean, it's probably because there's like a cute girl in the video and it's me on the beach.
Yeah, that's always a bump. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's just like that sucks, right? Like you would think people would just watch stuff for content, but sometimes that thumbnail really matters. But I think also a lot of people are thinking about going to Aragon, I can't even say it still, Agumon Bay or Aragon Bay from the south because it's like this, it's the East Coast, so most people never come here because it's a bit far. It's like a 6-hour drive from where everything else is. And it's undeveloped. It's just like for hardcore surfers. But I'm glad I came. And I think a lot of people wanted to see what that journey was like.
Nice. Yeah. Sometimes with these, travel videos, as you know, it can be some weird keyword, you appear on the top of search for some things. All right, let's get into one of your videos I wanted to go over. Oh yeah, this one. You have no idea what dropshipping is. So I guess, yeah, for people that are listening, obviously you've been doing dropshipping for a long time. I guess, what is dropshipping for people that don't know?
Yeah, so I've been dropshipping since 2013. I've ran multiple stores now, and the hard part about dropshipping is you don't want to give your niche away to everyone because you just get people who copy your store, your ads, and it just kind of dilutes everything. So on one hand, I understand why people don't understand what it is, but there's information out there if you take the time to actually learn it. Unfortunately, I think it was in, I don't know, maybe 2016 or 2017, what got super popular was AliExpress dropshipping, which isn't even what I do, but that term it just caught on because it's so much easier to do. It's like basically you don't have to call suppliers, you don't have to get approved to sell things, you don't have to become an authorized dealer. You basically just go on AliExpress.com, look for some cheap crap, put it onto a Shopify store, run some ads, and you're like, yeah, I'm making money now. And it works, right? And I told people in the beginning, I was like, look, this is a cash grab. Like just like Teespring, just like a lot of these kind of fads, it'll work for a bit. It's not a real business. It's gonna go away, which is why I never got into it. But it kind of like basically I sat it out for like 2 years, just seeing some people, make a lot of sales. But I also knew that they were gonna piss off their customers because things were taking 3 to 6 weeks to ship. They were getting these like crappy cheap products from AliExpress, even though their Instagram ads looked nice. And it unfortunately that kind of almost kind of get rich quick overnight business, if you want to call it that, took over the term dropshipping. The type of dropshipping that I learned from Anton is you become an authorized dealer for like legit brands in the US, and you sell products that people actually want, and you don't mark it up 400%. You literally sell it for MSRP. It's like if you can become an authorized dealer for Apple, like you wouldn't sell the MacBook for, $8,000. You would just sell it for whatever the normal price is that they can get it for at apple.com. You just become the dealer for it. Unfortunately, I can't get approved by Apple, so I can't drop ship their products, but, I do it for, furniture and kind of other like less exciting things. But yeah, I made that video because I saw this article in Wired that had Mike Vaselli on the cover, and then they mentioned me in it. Some guy said that Johnny FD is to blame for all the digital nomads and dropshippers going to Bali. And the funny thing was, I was like, man, I didn't even like Bali. And I told people I hated that place. And I told people not to do this type of dropshipping, but they did it anyways. So at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know, like, what am I going to do, right?
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's like, what, you can't please everyone, as I know as well.
So, what I was going to say was, so that's why I made that video. It was really just out of frustration because I read all the comments, and I was like, man, like, people don't even know what the freak dropshipping is. And then I thought about it, I was like, you know what, maybe they don't know because nobody actually explained it to them, and not everybody's going to take a $2,000 course to find out how to do it correctly. So that's why I made that video. And then after I made the video, I was like, you know what, even though I explained it, a lot of people still aren't really going to get it because they're not going to take Anton's course. Even though it's a good course, it's expensive, right? So I was like, you know what, like, let me, I got time, right? And I got, I was basically under lockdown, and I was quarantined in this freaking hotel, and I was like, you know what, maybe this is the time. I've been doing this for 7 years. I have a lot of knowledge in my head. I never wanted to make a course to compete with Anton. I also, honestly, I don't want to hold everyone's hands because it's a lot of work, right? Like if you sign up for a paid course, you kind of expect your handheld, like someone that answers all your questions, to update the content, make more videos all the time, do like screen share walkthroughs. It's a lot of work. And I said, you know what, I'm not going to do that, but what I can do is I can just do a brain dump of everything that I've learned in the last, 7 years of doing this, and I'll put it out there. And then if people want more info, they want screen shares, they want their handheld, they want private coaching calls, they can sign up for Anton's course. But if they just want kind of that big overview, 30-minute videos, it still ended up being like 4.5 hours of content. So I really tried to give everyone everything they need, to go from not having a store at all or not having any knowledge of dropshipping to creating a store, And I think for a lot of people, it's enough. They're like, you know what, they're the type that they can do a little bit of research on their own. Maybe they have some experience running other businesses. Maybe they're just like smart people, right, where they can just kind of figure it out. And those people, they're going to be able to basically learn dropshipping from zero to having a successful store just by watching my free series on YouTube. And I was like, you know what, this is what I can do to educate people on what legitimate long-term thinking dropshipping is, even for people who can't afford a $2,000 course like Anton's.
Awesome. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, we'll have a link in the description for that, guys, if you're interested. learning the high ticket dropshipping model. So whenever I talk about dropshipping, I always say there's low ticket, aka AliExpress, and there's high ticket. That's the Anton/Johnny method. And taking it back, I guess for people who don't know, the background is how I know Johnny is through the first ever Anton and Johnny Dropship Lifestyle Retreat, and that was October of 2014. So that's kind of how it all got started. And what's something really cool, actually, last year Anton was on my podcast. Yeah, his team actually like reached out to me, and I got like a semi-random email to have him on my podcast. So I was like, all right, great. So yeah, Johnny and Anton are the two guys that got Parker and I to come out to Chiang Mai initially. And, you know, that's always the beginning of my story. When people ask me my story, it's like, yeah, I came to Johnny and Anton's conference in 2014 and got into e-commerce and never went home, basically.
Yeah. And I love hearing that. And like, so to just give everyone kind of a backstory on how that even started. It was 2013. I had my book 12 Weeks in Thailand, you know, this Amazon Kindle book selling for $9.99, and I was making like $200 a month. And I was like, how do I sell more books? Started like reaching out to people, networking, and Anton happened to be in town, and I just like hit him up on Facebook, and I was like, hey, you know, I see you're also into online business and 4-hour work week. You know, you want to meet up? You know, dinner's on me. And I didn't know him. You know, I basically did this with, you know, 10 or 20 different, you know, and we weren't even called digital nomads back then, just like people who liked online business. And luckily in Thailand, I was cheap enough to treat people out to dinner. So I just took him out, and that's when I learned about what dropshipping was. I found out he had a course. I was one of his first, 20 students, and we became friends. And I remember we were chilling somewhere, maybe in Koh Lanta, and he was like, man, you know what? I wish, I can introduce Thailand to all my students, because I think a lot of them are already location dependent. They just don't know it yet. And maybe they're afraid to come out to Thailand and make that move. So I said, you know what? I used to help organize conferences back in the U.S. I'll help you, put this on. So that first year, I mean, it was never the Johnny and Anton conference. It was, it was Anton's, Dropship Lifestyle conference. I just happened to co-host it just as a friend. And it was good for me too, because from that year on, I was like, you know what, this is actually pretty fun. I'm not going to always, co-host Anton's conference, but maybe I can do my own. And that's how the Nomad Summit really started. So, we kind of basically split the conference. Anton has his Dropship Lifestyle conference in different countries every year. Mexico, Lisbon is coming up. He had it in Bali. And then for me, the Nomad Summit, for digital nomads, that's been in Chiang Mai every year. Then we've now done it in Mexico as well. Tbilisi, Georgia coming up. So yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like, friends helping out friends, right? Yeah.
It's perfect. And obviously I talk about the Nomad Summit every year. I always try to go back to it to, meet new friends into digital marketing entrepreneurs, and also reconnect with kind of the OG Nomad crew. So I've been kind of using that as my quasi yearly meetup for all my subscribers and homies and stuff. So yeah, check out nomadsummit.com, guys, to learn about the next one. And I guess I haven't heard the update on Tbilisi. Is there any update?
It's hard to know, man, because the whole travel restrictions, where we pushed it back until August 15th, that weekend of, and hopefully things open up by then. But it's like, I mean, we'll see, right? So it's tricky for everyone. And I mean, the worst thing that can happen is we spend all this money marketing it, putting down deposits for venues, ordering food, and then it gets canceled, and you lose all that money. And then, you still want to refund people's tickets because they didn't go, just to be nice, right? But at the same time, it's like, if you lose a bunch of money, then there's not really, it's kind of hard to do it again the next year. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But luckily I'm in a position where, like, for example, I lost, I think almost $9,000 hosting the Cancun Nomad Summit. because at the end of the day, we didn't sell enough tickets. It was the first year doing it in Mexico, and but at first I was like, you know what, maybe this is it. Like, we're not gonna do another one, but people loved it so much, like the connections you make, the people, the friends that you see, and you're like, okay, you know what, let's try to make it profitable next year, but it was still worth doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hope you keep doing it, of course, because as you know, people probably tell you, like me, these conferences are invaluable for giving people, one, the excuse to get outside their country and taste these different places just for a little bit, and then number two, to actually meet some real life digital nomads, like in person, like, oh my god, okay, like actually talking with them makes it more real. And then number three, like, obviously you learn a ton from the talks. Evan's in Tbilisi right now. He's been there, yes, he says it's chill, but obviously it's been locked down the whole time. He went right before
hard.
Corona.
Yeah, it's hard because I mean the best parts about Tbilisi is like the bars and like the meetups and the wine tastings and the restaurants and all that's been closed. So yeah, we'll see. So one thing I wanted to talk about on this episode was why I never got into Amazon FBA, because I think a lot of people are probably wondering about that. So I think I first really started hearing about it a lot in 2014. I had some friends who got into it. I'm pretty sure that's the year it kind of just started to get big. I think that's when I don't remember the name of that course.
Not DSL, machine. ASM.
Yeah, that's that was like a $10,000 course or something, but that was like the first course on how to do it, or at least I had heard of.
Yep, me too.
And I was really thinking, I was like, you know what, this could be a great opportunity because Amazon's huge and it's growing, and the conversion rates were insane. So just give everyone kind of a background. If you have really any kind of e-commerce store or you're selling anything online, your conversion rate is usually around 1%. So 1 out of 100 clicks to your website becomes a sale. And it's good enough, right? You can make money from it. You're pretty happy. If you can optimize it, maybe you can get 2%, maybe 3% if you're like a superstar. Amazon has like a 30% plus conversion rate, which is insane. And it's only because their customer base is so loyal. They're probably Prime members, so they're literally paying to shop there, and nobody really goes on Amazon unless they want to buy something. So I saw all these opportunities. I was like, I could probably make a lot of money doing FBA if I got into it. And the only reason why I didn't was I didn't want to put all my eggs in one basket, because I knew that Amazon could at any time screw me. Like they can shut you down for any reason. They can decide to raise their prices. They can decide to create an Amazon Basics version of your product. There's so many like variables that were out of my control. And because I was already successful with dropshipping, and I knew that if I continue this route, I'll continue making money, I was like, you know what? I know it's a gamble not going with Amazon, because maybe I'm missing a big opportunity, but what I was doing was working, and I knew it was a long-term strategy. As a lot of dropshippers, chased the shiny object and went to Amazon or went to Teespring or went to whatever, I would have the market kind of to myself, or less competition. So it was a gamble. I knew that on one hand, if I continued my path on dropshipping, I would make, decent money, maybe like, 2 to 7K a month in profit. If I sold a store, maybe I can get, 60K for it. So good money, but not the potential of Amazon. Cause I have some friends who did go to the Amazon route, and they had some crazy, months, and they sold their stores for a lot of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars. But it was also a gamble where I think even they, like every single person I know who sold their Amazon stores, they were like, man, I'm glad I got out, because at any moment it could have been like, we're shutting you down. We're creating an Amazon brand of your product, and there's nothing you can do about it. So in retrospect, yeah, I wish I would have gotten to FBA because, Amazon ended up not screwing most of their FBA sellers. But it was at the time, I was like 5 years ago, I was like, you know what? I'd rather go kind of that consistent route that I know was working for me than take the gamble of, putting all my eggs in this one basket.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing about life and about business as well. Business is just a microcosm of life. It's like there's no one way to eat an Oreo. There's no one right path of life. There's no one business model. It's like whatever you choose, a business model is a business model because it's a business model, because it works, because it makes money. So it's like people ask me this all the time, and I'm sure you too. It's like they're like, okay, I want to be a digital nomad. It's like, okay, what business model do you want to do? And they're like, I don't know. So it's like there's not one business model. So that's why I try to like tell people like choose what resonates with you. So there's not one way to go. Everything in life, same with business models, have their pros and cons, and we just, everyone has their own life path, and life is half random, as they say. So you met Anton, and that's how you learned that. And we started with dropshipping, and I guess why we pivoted to Amazon FBA, I can go into that. So we're at the conference, and basically, long story short, looking back, it's so clear why we weren't making a profit with our stores. Number one, we were doing 0 Facebook retargeting. And number 2, we were doing 0 email retargeting. And so those are like 2 of the most important things you got to do in e-commerce. So looking back, I'm like, oh gosh, we weren't doing any Facebook retargeting. And like in e-commerce, they say shoppers, they got to see you multiple times before they buy. Yeah. And so looking back, it's like,
especially these high ticket items.
Yeah.
If you're selling something that, if you're selling like a $30 item, it's a impulse buy, right? But if you're selling a $600 or a $6,000 item, you got to have those 6 touches, or they're probably not going to take out the credit card that first time they go to your site. And what I really like about, selling on Shopify, especially following Anton's method, is we're in control where we can pixel the customer, so we can follow them around Facebook, we can follow them around the web, we can get their email address, so we own that customer, and then we can retarget them, we can remarket to them. With Amazon, there are kind of ways around it, but like in general, you don't get the email address, you can't cookie them, so yeah, like you're right, like it's both models work, both have the pros and cons, and I think a lot of, at the end of the day, here's the craziest part. The craziest thing I've learned about online business is pretty much everything works. Like I think in the beginning, at least for a while, people were like, yeah, nothing works. There's, you remember reading these posts, like online business doesn't work. Like working remotely doesn't work. Everybody's a scammer. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Like you can literally sell pretty much anything online. Maybe it's not the best business model. Maybe it's not, a good personality fit. But I've met people, pretty much in every industry now where they made it work. And I'm like, you know what? If they can do it, I probably could have done it as well.
Yep, exactly. And you had that mindset. You just said it. And looking back, Parker and I also had that mindset as we were watching, your channel. We're like, oh, if Johnny can do it, then we can do it too. So like, looking back, it's like, yeah, in business and in life, it takes a certain amount of that inner confidence so that you believe you can do something. That's kind of just like life 101. And some people have the confidence and some people don't. So, whatever, that's life. So yeah, I guess at the conference, there was a speaker, Ben Brandis, who talked about FBA, and that's basically how we got started. And then Kai was doing it already, and then Ocean got in to do it right after. And these were Ocean was like 18 or 19 at the time, and Kai was like maybe like 23 or something like that. And they got into FBA private labeling, and then Parker and I, we weren't profitable with our dropshipping stores because of the reasons I just said. We pivoted into FBA, and yeah, happened to start working out. So yeah, everyone has their own their own journey. Like at the end of the day, like I don't really care what business model it is. I just want to make money online and live my life, you know, and that's the first thing that ended up, you know, catching traction for us. So at the end of the day, it's all about that passive income.
Yeah. And one thing I really like about Anton and why I really respect him as a mentor is he didn't need to have an FBA guy at his dropshipping conference. If anything, that's like, you know, introducing someone to like a competitor almost. But Anton's all about, he's like, you know what, you're my student, you know, you paid for the course. I want you to have all the information on how to do it the best way and how to make the most amount of money. So every year, you know, in his members only, you know, meetups, he's like, all right, this is what's currently working now. You can either continue following this high ticket dropshipping route, or you can pivot into the, you know, you can take the skills you've learned. Because I'm sure even though, you know, you weren't profitable with your stores at the time, the skills you had learned from going through the process and making those sales probably taught you so much, you know, for the foundation to help you with FBA.
Oh yeah, 1000%. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Is we learned like that was our first digital marketing project, building our Shopify stores with the high ticket dropshipping, and learned everything: SEO, graphic design, copywriting, you know, supplier negotiations, you know, accounting, starting an LLC. So yeah, that was our foundation. Then when we pivoted to FBA, tried products there, and it ended up working. About traffic, so you have this video called paid versus free traffic versus paid ads. Yeah, what's the kind of summary breakdown of that video? Like, how do you get traffic to your website?
Yeah, so first off, I can't believe that video only has 642 views so far, because there's so much gold in that. Like, I think some of the comments, people were like, had literally wrote, like, Johnny, your free videos, your free course is better than most paid courses I've been through. So I hope more people will see this. But basically, what I explained in there is, even though free traffic is great, so SEO traffic, you know, links from other sites, it's a terrible way to get started, because it takes forever. It takes a long time to start, you know, getting that free traffic. And like, why would you spend a month, 2 months, or 3 months getting free traffic to a product or a link that you don't even know if people want to buy or not? I mean, like, it's funny because there's only 600 views, but there's 47 thumbs ups and 0 thumbs down, even with all the haters I have out there. But it's great. Like, these are the kind of the tips that save people so much time. And I think people don't realize that free doesn't mean free, as in, like, free traffic never means free traffic. You're spending your time, your energy, and you wasted opportunity to, you know, get free traffic when you could have just paid a little bit, you know, like, you know, maybe don't throw $1,000 on ads, but test it with something to see people even want to click your ad, number one. Second, is that ad going to convert? Are people actually going to buy the product? And it's like the month of your time, or 2 months of your time, or 3 months of your time, it's not free. Like, that's opportunity lost. That's opportunity cost, where you could have been making sales. You could have been making money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the free method is basically in SEO and content, which means you know, doing guest posts on other sites to get the backlink juice, and writing high quality you know, articles to rank in Google to get that free traffic, which is, you know, organic traffic, which is when people search things, you'll pop up in results on Google results, for example, for certain keywords. And then paid traffic being, obviously, you pay Google per click to boost you up for these certain keywords. That's just like, I'll just pay Google, just bump me up in the rankings, just pay Google. You can totally do that. And also Facebook ads, / Instagram ads, same. So I guess for your Shopify stores, what's the main moneymaker of source of traffic?
So in the beginning, it's Google product listing ads, so the actual display ads that show the picture, the item, the title, the cost, the shipping cost, maybe even the reviews. Because if someone clicks on that, they're pretty serious. They're like, they know the price, they know what it looks like. So if they're gonna click on that ad, they're a shopper. And, you know, maybe we can get a 1 or 2 or 3% conversion rate from that. But I would say that, especially in the beginning, by far is the number one revenue generator, but the number one profit generator isn't actually that. Like, that's really just to get started. And I tell people in the course, the first month or two, don't even worry about trying to maximize profit. Just maximize sales. Don't lose money, but don't worry about getting the craziest profit margins. Just start getting that data, and then what you do is then you're like, okay, now I know what sells, I know what ads are working, I know what products people want to buy. That's when you go in and you're like, okay, can I add free traffic? Can I add cheaper versions of traffic, whether it's optimizing the Google ads or introducing things like Facebook retargeting, which is way cheaper, or getting repeat customers, getting customers to share, with their friends, and then that's what ends up getting super profitable. So instead of you spending, $40 to convert one lead into a sale, maybe you're spending half of that, or maybe you're getting that referral for free, and that's when the profits really start kicking in.
Nice. Okay. That's interesting. I have a Shopify store up for some of my best selling Amazon products now. So kind of going through that whole thing. How do I get people to share and like set up a referral program, bonus program? So yeah.
And this is a big tip to all the FBA guys out there. Amazon is a gold mine right now, but as any gold mine in the world, it can run out, it can dry up, it can collapse. So start funneling some of that customer base into your own Shopify store, something that you actually own. Because right now you might be crushing Amazon, you might be making a lot of money, but if you're not building a brand, you're not funneling those customers into something that you actually own, whether it's an email list or your own Shopify store. One day, and it could be, it could be 5 years from now, right? But it also could be 5 days from now. Amazon might come out with a change and just completely screw you. And if you don't own any of those customers, you don't have your own sales channel, you're going to be left out to dry. And a good example of this is just a few weeks ago, Amazon decided to screw all their affiliates. Nobody thought that, right? Because for last 10 years, Amazon's been paying 8% to their affiliates for these categories, and people built entire businesses and sites around this 8% commission. And then Amazon overnight, basically, they're like, okay, starting next week, we're slashing the commissions from 8% to 2%, and that just ruins someone's business, right? Like overnight. Imagine if you just bought an Amazon, affiliate blog that was making $10K a month or something. Now you're making $2K a month, right? It's a huge difference, That's $8,000 loss every month now. So same thing with FBA. Right now, Amazon's, treating guys, pay everyone well. What are you going to do if Amazon tomorrow is like, all right, we're doubling all of our fees. We're doubling our commissions, or we're introducing a Amazon, not even basics line. Did you know that Amazon right now has hundreds of private label brands that nobody even knows about? So it's not called Amazon Basics. It might be called, something, like Sunflower Industries or something. And they will basically look at your data like, this is what sells, this is what products people are buying, this is how many clicks a day, how much inventory we should order. They have all your data. If right now when you're a small fish, they don't really care, but as soon as you get big, they're like, okay, thanks for the data, thanks for testing it, we're gonna come in, we're just gonna take it over.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I tell people this all the time. And for better or for worse, Amazon is a monster. And we're in their house. We're playing their game. They are the boss. And that Amazon affiliates thing, saw that news, and that was just disappointing. That was just not a good vibe by Amazon. And obviously the affiliates are pissed. And actually one guy who I kind of know, who kind of follows me, he's an Amazon affiliate. He came to join my private label course. After that happened, he's like, all right, now I got to start private labeling, building my own brands. But overall, with you got to collect the emails. You got to it's a mission to collect your emails, and long term, build your own website, build your own brand off of Amazon. Amazon is just the starting point to building a dope e-commerce brand. It's just one way to get in, but long term, you want to be getting your traffic balance from Amazon and from your own website, getting your customer emails, owning that data. One way we do that that's been working fairly well is with product inserts. So we add a little insert. It's got a QR code there on there, and it says, thanks for your order. Don't forget to scan this to register your warranty. They scan that QR code with their phone, takes them to a ManyChat flow, confirms their email, gets added to the email list, flow, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, there's that. A lot of Amazon sellers do that, but yeah, in general, yeah, that's one of the cons of Amazon for sure, is you don't get their email. You don't get them to your email list. You don't own that data.
Yeah, and even though that's a great way to get some of the customers to register, you know, if you calculate the conversion rate of how many people actually scan that QR code and register, it's still pretty low. Versus if someone buys it from your Shopify store, you get 100% of those emails, because when they check out, they're gonna put in their email to get their confirmation.
Yeah, it's your site. You own that.
It's your site, yeah. So, and you have their phone number, you have their address. Like, they bought it from you, so like you can call them, you can email them, you can show up their door. It's yeah. But I agree, man. Like, right now, Amazon it's the smart place to be right now. I don't know if it's gonna be the smart place to be in 6 months from now or a year from now. So far, I've lost on the gamble. I honestly thought that Amazon would have screwed everyone earlier. I thought that, I was like, this will probably, be good for a couple of years, and Amazon's going to come in and get greedy. They haven't yet. So I ended up losing out on that gamble. But, at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? For the same amount of effort I put in, because I've been traveling, full time this last 5 years, and I'm not working 80 hours a week or anything. I sold a couple of my stores for $60K. If it was an Amazon store, maybe I would have got $180K for it. Maybe it would have been double, maybe it would have been triple. So I did lose out on that. But at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? I made, $250,000 from my dropshipping stores. Maybe I would have made $500,000 from FBA, or maybe I would have made zero. So, it was a gamble, whatever.
Yeah, it's like,
I'm so happy.
It's like, again, in life, we all have our own journey. We can look back and say, woulda, coulda, shoulda, what if. But yeah, at the end of the day, passive income is the best thing ever. That's what we all want, and however we get there, it doesn't really matter. It's all about, the 4-hour work week, getting that income to take care of yourself, so you don't have to go to a job every day, so you can have the free time to focus on what you love doing, which is, for a lot of us, travel the world and experience living in places all around the world.
Yep. Frankie the dog agrees as well.
Dog agrees.
Hear the barks in the background.
Always dogs out here. And yeah. What was I gonna say? I mentioned earlier, but so what we've kind of done is taken our best sellers on Amazon and then put that into our list that on our Shopify store and run ads to that. And we're actually just starting to run Facebook and Instagram ads for that, and it's getting there. It's only been about a month or so, but yeah. And then the whole thing about Amazon, raising their prices for sellers, and that totally could happen. Right now they take an average of 30% if you're FBA. But I guess there's nothing. They could raise that. They could one day say, "Hey, we're taking 50%," and they could do that if they want. And we just saw them do that with affiliates. So I hope they don't, obviously. But that's why I stress to every FBA seller maybe listening to this. It's like, if you're not using that insert card thing, get on that. My agency, we have a template and setup for that. You can hire my Amazon marketing agency, which me and Parker have going since late 2018. Do that, and there's also some tools out there where you can like scrape customer data and get their emails, and then retarget them on Facebook with an opt-in. There's like some methods like that. You guys can ask me about that if you're curious about that. But yeah, overall big picture is another thing that we've learned over COVID is the importance of diversifying income, which of course you're all about. So whether it's Amazon, whether it's dropshipping, whatever your source of income, I think a lot of us have gotten that extra kick in the butt during COVID. It's, dang, I gotta open multiple sources of income because, I was talking to Felipe in Chiang Mai. And I was there in January and February for the Nomad Summit, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I thought I had all my incomes diversified, but it was my Shopify site, my Amazon traffic, and also like one other, but they were all physical product based, so they're all dependent on China. And so when Corona started to hit in February in China, that disrupted that income. He's like, oh crap, I'm all dependent on kind of one source. So obviously you're all about that. So I think big picture here is, as an entrepreneur, these little e-commerce channels, this is just one stream of income. If you want to build wealth, you got to really diversify, and you've obviously done that. And if you guys want to read that on Johnny's blog, you can read all about that. But yeah, I guess what would you say that you've kind of learned so far about that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the best thing I've ever done was create multiple sources of income. And honestly, it came out of a fearful place, right? Because I used to be broke, and I never wanted to get broke again. So I was so scared of losing, something, one income stream drying up or ever going broke again. I created, I think it was like 14 streams of income. On my YouTube channel, I have a video about it where I just break it all down, and I show, screenshots of all my dashboards. And it's crazy because, I mean, it wasn't all at once, right? It was like every 6 months I would start something new and just add another stream. The downside of it is, I think if I had focused on any like 1, 2, or 3 of those things, I would have made a lot more in each, and I would have made a lot more overall. But part of it was exciting to try new things, right? You're like, oh yeah, I heard about this Udemy thing, let me try that. Oh, I wonder if I published another book on Amazon, how that would work. Oh yeah, I wonder if I, if I add this kind of random thing, like if that's gonna bring in some money. And every time, you start making a couple $100 or $1,000 from it, you're like, man, this is dope. This is a new stream of income that is completely separate than everything else. So I'm not dependent on anything. It's almost kind of, getting to that unfuckwittable state. And it's a nice feeling. I regret doing it, to be honest, a little bit, because first it's a pain in the ass for my tax accountant to have like 14 different 1099 forms coming in all the time. But mainly because it's a lot of things to keep track of. And I know I'm letting a lot of things slip by not focusing on it. Luckily, you guys can learn from, what I've done. So you can say, okay, you know what, Johnny made all 14 of these work. Let me pick 1 or 2 of these and add that to my income streams, knowing it works. And then let me focus on that to maximize it. And it's almost ironic where I've made my followers way more money than I've made personally, and it's kind of a weird to say that, because I mean, like for example, I've made, I think about 30, was it 20 or 30 grand? I don't even remember, from my Udemy courses. But one of my followers who I basically showed how to do it, she's making 10K a month from the same courses. So now she's made, 200 grand. So she's made 10 times as much than I did from Udemy. I showed her the way. I showed her and she was like, yeah, thanks, Johnny. Like, you showed me exactly how to do it. Luckily, I have 14 of these streams. So overall, I've made enough money where I'm happy. But thinking back, I'm like, man, if I didn't spend all this time, showing people how to do it, if I just focused on my own, I would have made way more money. But you know what? At the end of the day, like, I'm happy, man. Like, I have enough money where I'm never stressed. I'm doing what I love. I'm living in this amazing place here. Like, literally, the beach is like half a block away. I'm gonna go surf after this. I've been sending my mom money every month for the last 4 years now straight. I've been paying the property taxes, send her a G a month to kind of help her retirement. I have everything I want. I have everything I need. I've also learned that having more money doesn't actually make me any happier. And I think having a nice buffer that really, alleviates a lot of the stress, because you don't want to ever get in a situation where you're broke and you can't pay rent. But once you get to a certain point and you got a couple grand coming in a month, from passive income, and then you're still working, make another couple other grand, it's like you're good. Like, what else is there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's all about being happy. And, Tim Ferriss in the 4-Hour Workweek would say excitement actually is happiness. Pursue what excites you. And for a lot of us, that's traveling the world. That's being able to explore and just be free, and just being free in your daily life, not having to wake up to an alarm clock every day, just waking up on your own time like we have been doing for years. And so just that little thing is just a lot of people's dream, just to be able to be on their own schedule and not have that 9 to 5 anymore. So. But yeah, that's a good way to kind of wrap it up. Big picture, it's all about creating these passive income streams so you can have that free time to pursue what excites you, what makes you happy.
Yeah, I love it, man. Riley, it's been fun catching up. All of you guys, if you want to see any of my content, just look for my YouTube channel. Just look for Johnny FD. I think all the videos are up already, but it's dropshiplab.com. It's the free course. Check it out. And yeah, I hope to see you guys somewhere in the world, maybe at the next Nomad Summit, maybe out here in Sri Lanka, maybe in Thailand, wherever you're at in the world.
Yeah, I'm gonna be staying tuned for sure. Nomadsummit.com, guys. Just sign up for the email list to stay tuned. As always, highly recommend, if you're an aspiring digital nomad or if you're even an existing digital nomad, come out, connect with hundreds of others. At the very least, make tons of digital nomad entrepreneur Facebook friends, and have an excuse to visit somewhere in the world. Awesome. Well, Johnny, I'll see you wherever it is in the world again, and thanks for being on again. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the FBA Lifestyle Podcast. Don't forget to follow on all podcast platforms, YouTube and Instagram. Ready to fast-track your first or next FBA product? Ready to create a real product that leaves the competition in the dust? Then check out the 90-Day FBA Challenge, a 12-week accelerator program with weekly coaching calls where we help you go from zero idea what to sell to a product live on Amazon within 90 days. And download the free Amazon Secrets ebook, FBA Lifestyle, the Amazon Experts. Start your FBA business. Achieve the freedom lifestyle.